procedure, the second reading debate is adjourned and the bill is referred to the Homes Committee.
This council now continues with the second reading debate on the Appropriation Bill 2025. As members already spoke at the last meeting, I will now call upon the Secretaries concerned to speak and then the Financial Secretary to reply. Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development. President, first of all, I would like to thank members for their valuable views. I will focus my response on a few areas of greater concern to members. International Trade Center. In the face of the increasingly complex geopolitical situation, the slowdown in global economic growth, the rise of unilateralism and protectionism, and the increase in global uncertainties, the SAR government is actively implementing a wide range of measures to consolidate and develop Hong Kong's position as an international trade center under the National 14th Five-Year Plan. Given Hong Kong's unique advantage of being connected to both mainland China and the rest of the world under one country, two systems, we will continue to seize the opportunity to deepen our international relations and cooperation. Despite the bullying and unreasonable tariffs, Hong Kong will maintain its status as a free port under the Basic Law and practice free trade. We will continue to expand Hong Kong's trade network through the 14 ETOs and 51 Trade Development Council offices worldwide with a view to attracting more enterprises and investment from the global south. Apart from seeking to sign free trade agreements and investment agreements with more economies, the government is actively following up with the governments of Malaysia and Saudi Arabia on the establishment of ETOs. We will continue to actively take forward our work in this area to further expand Hong Kong's circle of friends in the economic and trade arena. In addition, the CEDB is actively taking forward a number of important initiatives to consolidate and strengthen our position as an international business and trade center. On investment promotion, Invest Hong Kong will continue to build on the positive momentum of last year and publicize through its global network Hong Kong's stable and reliable business environment and unique advantages amidst the current trade dynamics to attract mainland and overseas enterprises to set up operations in Hong Kong. Our multinational supply chain management center, Invest Hong Kong and the TDC, will further improve the mechanism for high value-added supply chain services to attract and assist more mainland enterprises that plan to go global to come to Hong Kong. We believe that this new mechanism will facilitate Hong Kong's economic development and at the same time deepen our international engagement and cooperation. To respond to the expectation of Premier Li Qiang in this year's work report for Hong Kong to integrate into the country's development and make contributions to the country. As regards the development of emerging markets, the investment agreement signed with Bahrain last year just came into effect on 21st of March. We will continue to take forward our work in this area, including discussing the signing of investment agreements with Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh, Egypt, and Peru. We will also continue to actively lobby for early accession to the RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, so that Hong Kong can contribute to the promotion of regional economic integration and development. In addition, we'll launch incentive scheme for Recurrent Exhibitions 2.0, which focuses on supporting new and recurrent major international exhibitions to step up efforts to promote the development of the convention and exhibition industry and the events economy. The working group on promoting silver economy chaired by the Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration will also launch initiatives in 5 areas to encourage the business sector and various stakeholders to capitalize on the relevant opportunities. The working group will report to the Chief Executive on the progress of its work at the beginning of this financial year and brief the relevant LegCo panel in due course. On the Belt and Road Initiative, Hong Kong is an active participant, contributor, and beneficiary of the initiative. The SAR government has all along endeavored to consolidate Hong Kong's position as a functional platform for the construction of the Belt and Road Initiative, play the roles of superconnector and supervalue adder, and actively support and complement our country's latest initiatives. We will work with the business and professional services sectors to further develop the ASEAN and Middle Eastern markets, explore the market potential of Central Asia, South Asia, and North Africa, and deepen cooperation exchanges brought about by the collaboration with the core areas of the Silk Road Economic Belt. to assist Hong Kong's enterprises and professional services sectors in exploring business opportunities. The Belt and Road Summit is a flagship event that demonstrates Hong Kong's participation in and contribution to the Belt and Road Initiative. The government will organize the 10th Forum on the 10th and 11th of September and proactively liaise with relevant organizations and encourage them to organize activities related to the initiative before and after the summit so as to enhance synergy, showcase the fruits of exchanges in civic society, and promote Hong Kong's role as an important bridge for exchanges and cooperation under the initiative. On IP trading, effective protection and efficient trading of IP rights are crucial to Hong Kong in promoting the development of the R&D, culture, and creative design services and brand licensing industries. I did note that members were very concerned about the development of AI and the promotion of trading and commercialization of cultural IPs. The CEDB is planning to introduce a bill into the Council to amend the copyright ordinance to tie in with the relevant developments. The bill will set out clearly the rights of copyright owners and the responsibilities of users. This will help facilitate negotiation of licensing agreements between AI developers and copyright owners, bringing financial returns to copyright owners and promoting the regulated development of AI technology, thereby achieving a win-win situation for both sides. The CEDB will also continue to follow through with the initiatives announced in the 2024 policy address to strengthen protection of R&D innovations and creative outputs and reinforce our position as a regional hub for IP trading. Support for SMEs. The government, through various funding schemes and measures, has been assisting SMEs in facing challenges and enhancing their competitiveness in the complex and volatile economic environment. The injection of a total of $2.5 billion into the Govt Fund and the Export, Marketing and Trade and Industrial Organization Support Fund announced in last year's policy address and this year's budget demonstrates the government's strong support for SMEs. Over the past few years, the government has continued to introduce enhancement measures under the SME Financing Guarantee Scheme to meet the financing needs of SMEs during the economic downturn. As at end February 2025, the cumulative default rates of the 80%, 90%, and 100% special guarantee products under the scheme were about 5.1%, 3.8%, and 14% respectively. The Hong Kong Mortgage Corporation Insurance Limited will work closely with the lending institutions and help enterprises tide over the difficult times, including assisting enterprises that fail to make repayments as scheduled to restructure their debts. Default cases will be handled appropriately with a view to minimizing the government's loss. On cross-border e-commerce, I noted that members were very concerned about how the government would assist enterprises in grasping the opportunities arising from cross-boundary e-commerce to go global and expand into markets such as mainland and ASEAN countries. In this year's budget, it was announced that the TDC would implement the e-commerce express to provide more comprehensive support to SMEs interested in expanding into the e-commerce market. The TDC will also enhance the exposure and competitiveness of Hong Kong brands in overseas markets through other initiatives, including organizing the second Hong Kong Shopping Festival, as well as setting up more Hong Kong pavilions in mainland and overseas exhibitions and organizing various promotional activities. The TID will also strengthen its support to SMEs in developing their brands and expanding their e-commerce sales network through the SME Mentorship Program. On export credit insurance, following the proposal in last year's policy address to increase the maximum indemnity percentage of the ECAC, Hong Kong Export Credit Insurance Corporation to 95% in the face of unreasonable tariffs imposed by the US, the ECIC introduced 3 support measures: extending the free shipment cover for small business policyholders, offering a 50% discount on pre-shipment cover, and standardizing the premium rates for emerging markets with those for traditional major markets. The ECIC also provides to buyers from mainland ASEAN countries and Middle East 20 additional free credit assessment services. The corporation also cooperates with financial institutions to provide financing for e-commerce businesses and credit insurance for multinational supply chain related export services to support Hong Kong's export trade. on trade single window. On the other hand, the CEDB is implementing the TSW trade single window system in 3 phases to provide a one-stop electronic platform for the trade to submit B2G trade documents for customs declaration and cargo clearance. Phases 1 and 2 of the TSW system are now in full operation, and they cover a total of 42 types of trade documents. The phases of the system are running smoothly. The analysis and design work of Phase 3's RT system has been completed, and development of the system is underway. The target is to roll out the services in batches starting from next year. The TSW Phase 3 system will have the relevant technical capabilities to connect with the TSW and commercial systems of other economies. We have set up an expert group with the mainland authorities to enhance the exchange of experience in developing TSW and explore cooperation opportunities. We will also explore the feasibility of linking up with other systems such as the port community system being developed by the TLB and the TSWs of other economies to further facilitate the industry. Development of low Earth orbit satellites. On the development of LEOS low Earth orbit satellites, the government announced that it would complete a study on streamlining the approval process of the applications for LEOS licenses within this year. With the streamlined process, we will be able to attract more business investment and talents, and this should facilitate the development of INT and high-quality industries. President, I so submit I implore members to support Appropriation Bill 2025.
Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury. President, I thank members for providing their invaluable views on our Bureau's portfolio during the debate on the Appropriation Bill 2025. I will give my response to the following topics, namely consolidating Hong Kong's status as an international financial center, developing asset and wealth management, introducing a company redomiciliation mechanism, deepening mutual market access, promoting fintech, green tech, and commodity trading, reforming the MPF system, as well as advanced insurance-linked securities. At present, the tariff war unilaterally initiated by the U.S. has significantly increased global investment uncertainty and disrupted the world's economic outlook. Amid this complex external environment, Hong Kong, as a highly open economy, cannot remain insulated. In response, we're proactively implementing targeted policies to turn challenges into opportunities so as to advance Hong Kong's high-quality, sustainable development in a changing landscape. Financial stability and economic security are the cornerstones of Hong Kong's prosperity. We will continue to protect Hong Kong's safe, stable, and free business environment. We will demonstrate to the international community that Hong Kong is a safe haven for global capital. Leveraging our unique advantages under one country, two systems to connect domestic and global markets will further enhance our role as the super connector and super value adder, thereby deepening international collaboration to unlock new opportunities for global enterprises and capital. At the same time, we will create new growth points, accelerate market reforms, and ramp up the development of financial services on all fronts to consolidate our status as an international financial center. I thank members for the broad support of the reforms and market enhancement measures proposed in the budget. We will work closely with the Securities and Futures Commission, the Hong Kong Exchange, and industry stakeholders to roll out these proposals one after another as soon as they're ready. To strengthen Hong Kong's position as an international asset and wealth management center, the dedicated Family Office Hong Kong team under Invest Hong Kong has assisted over 160 family offices in establishing or expanding operations here. The third Wealth for Good Summit, co-organized with Invest Hong Kong last month, was attended by around 360 family office decision makers and industry leaders. This helped promote Hong Kong's advantages as a global family office hub. The new capital investment entrance scheme has been well received by the industry and asset owners, with over 1,190 applications received as of March this year. In early March, we introduced a series of enhancements to the scheme, including relaxed net asset requirements and following up applicants to invest through wholly owned qualified private companies. These measures will strengthen our ties with family offices and maximize our diverse investment opportunities. We will finalize proposals on tax incentives for funds, single-family offices, and carried interest this year. Our goal is to submit the bills to the Legislative Council next year for early passage, so that these measures can take effect starting from the 2025-26 financial year. To provide overseas companies with a simplified pathway to redomicile in Hong Kong, we will establish a company redomiciliation mechanism to preserve their legal entity and business continuity. The mechanism addresses existing market demand and aligns with this administration's strategy to attract investment. It will bring in overseas enterprises as new drivers for local development. It will also generate demand for professional services, investment, and job opportunities. The Bills Committee has completed its scrutiny of the bill. We will resume the second reading debate at the Council meeting of the 14th of May and aim to implement the mechanism in May. After implementing the company redomiciliation mechanism, we will join hands with Invest Hong Kong and Hong Kong Exchange to proactively reach out to major overseas listed Hong Kong companies. We'll also promote the mechanism to global firms through our economic and trade offices. Expanding and deepening mutual access mechanisms between the mainland and Hong Kong financial markets remain our top priority. We will advance measures endorsed by regulators on both sides, including launching offshore Chinese treasury bond futures, introducing blockchaining for stocks, and adding REITs to the Stock Connect. Regulators and market institutions are in close liaison on technical details in order to expedite implementation. We will continue to follow up on these matters with the mainland authorities and explore expansion and enhancement arrangements for mutual access mechanisms. Details will be announced in due course. According to the latest Global Financial Centers Index, Hong Kong's ranking has risen 5 places to the 4th globally for fintech offerings. We'll promote fintech development through multi-pronged strategies to enhance Hong Kong's competitiveness so as to support the real economy. On virtual assets, we will soon issue the second policy statement on virtual assets to outline our policy vision and direction in the next phase. We'll also conduct consultations on licensing regimes for virtual asset OTC trading and custodial services this year. The stablecoin bill will resume its second reading debate at the LegCo meeting on the 21st of May. Upon passage of the bill, the Hong Kong MA will vet license applications as soon as possible. These measures will refine our balanced regulatory and market development framework and further promote the development of a vibrant virtual assets ecosystem. We will continue to develop Hong Kong into an international green tech and finance hub. Last year, the green and sustainable bonds issued in Hong Kong totaled $43 billion, which made us the top among Asian markets for 7 consecutive years since 2018 and accounting for 45% of regional issuance. On sustainability disclosures, the Roadmap on Sustainability Disclosure in Hong Kong, launched in December 2023, provides a clear path for major public interest entities to fully adopt the International Sustainability Standards Board or ISSB standards by 2028, making Hong Kong one of the first jurisdictions to align local standards with the ISSB. For green fintech, 60 projects have been approved under the Green and Sustainable Fintech Proof of Concept Funding Support Scheme launched last June, which will drive the development of solutions to address industry pain points. Apart from the above areas, building a commodity trading ecosystem will serve as a new focal point to reinforce our status as an international financial center. The London Metal Exchange designated Hong Kong as an approved delivery point within its global warehousing network in January. Since then, we have begun to accept applications, and 4 warehouses have been approved in just a few months. We will continue to provide targeted support to attract related enterprises to set up presence in Hong Kong, through which we will gradually establish a comprehensive commodity trading ecosystem and lay the groundwork for future financial dealings. Some members discussed enhancing the MPF system. We have constantly reviewed and enhanced the system so as to offer 4.8 million scheme members more diversified investment options while reducing fees. Following the close of the recent public consultation on full portability of MPF, we are working full steam on legislative amendments. We plan to consult the relevant panel of the Legislative Council in June this year. On fee reduction, the eMPF platform was launched in June last year So far, 6 MPF schemes have joined. The platform is running smoothly, and other schemes expected to get on board. Notably, a number of participating schemes have lowered the management fees so as to bring more benefits to members. As an international risk management center, Hong Kong offers diverse risk management tools. Through a dedicated regulatory regime and the pilot insurance-linked securities grant scheme, we have facilitated 7 catastrophe bond issuances totaling $6.2 billion. To attract more institutions to issue diverse ILS products and foster the growth of the ILS ecosystem, the government has extended the pilot grant scheme for 3 years. The Insurance Authority is liaising closely with potential partners. We will also step up overseas promotion, including hosting the 2nd International Symposium this year to highlight Hong Kong's strengths to institutional investors and family offices. I so submit, I urge members to support the bill.
Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism. President, I'd like to thank members for their valuable views on issues related to tourism, culture, creative industries and sports. And I'll give a brief response. Tourism. Members agree with the current term government on the implementation of the idea of tourism is everywhere. Members have made various suggestions, including developing blue-green ecotourism, cruise tourism, and emerging tourism markets in Middle East and ASEAN, as well as providing support in terms of smart tourism and tele-nurturing, and stepping up publicity and promotion in the mainland and overseas. CSTB announced the development blueprint for Hong Kong Tourism Industry 2.0 at the end of last year. It set out targeted plans on these policy directions and measures. CSTB is the policy bureau mainly responsible for promoting the development of tourism. We will actively study and explore members' suggestions. We will also work with the Hong Kong Tourism Board, Hong Kong TB, relevant policy bureaus and departments to implement various measures under the action plans in the blueprint so that visitors will revel in their stay in Hong Kong and come back again. The 5-day Labor Day Golden Week of the mainland will start tomorrow. Various departments of the government and the trade will do their utmost to receive inbound visitors and give them a high-quality travel experience. Culture and creative industries. Quite a few members have made valuable suggestions on consolidating our position as an East-Meets-West Center for international cultural exchange. To a large extent, these suggestions coincide with the blueprint for arts and culture and creative industries development announced by the CSTB last year. The blueprint set out clear vision, principles, and 4 directions for the future development of our arts, culture, and creative industries. Culture. On promoting the development of culture and arts, CSTB will continue to support the organization of arts and cultural events in Hong Kong to consolidate our position as the East-Meets-West Center for International Cultural Exchange. We are reviewing the positioning of performance venues in order to provide space that better caters to the hosting of various arts and cultural mega events. The government has provided funding again to support the organization of the Hong Kong Performing Arts Expo to turn its brand effect and its platform to good account. We will also continue to organize and support various large-scale events, such as the Hong Kong Pop Cultural Festival, which was launched earlier this month, and the Chinese Cultural Festival, which will start in June to showcase the charm of our cultural diversity and promote the tourism economy. Creative industries. The Cultural and Creative Industries Development Agency, CCIDA, under CSTB, supports cultural intellectual property projects covering a wide range of cultural and creative industries, including the cross-sectoral collaboration of anime, printing and publishing, design, film, arts, and technology through the Create Smart initiative. We've been maintaining close liaison with the trade to provide inquiry services with regard to the project's application procedures. Meanwhile, we spearhead and coordinate cross-sectoral, cross-genre, and cross-organizational collaboration to promote the transaction and transformation of cultural IP, helping the trade to explore business opportunities and enhance economic benefits. On the suggestion of providing tax concessions to the film industry in the current market situation, doing so will bring limited benefits. Instead, we should provide more targeted support for the film industries. For example, The Film Development Fund (FDF) supports and promotes the development of the film industry's informing directions, namely enhancing the production of local films through subsidies, nurturing talents, expanding markets, and expanding the audience. Through the FDF and other funding, CCIDA has been providing subsidies for groups in the film industry and ETOs to promote Hong Kong movies and talents in countries along the Belt and Road Initiative and in international film festivals held in these countries. Film shows, exhibitions, and networking events are organized. Film production teams are invited to post screening talks and other activities. These are aimed at expanding overseas market. On the development of sports, we continue to stay committed to promoting the development of sports in Hong Kong through promoting sports in the community, supporting elite sports, promoting Hong Kong as a center for major international sports events, enhancing professionalism, and developing sports as an industry. Our efforts include providing more support for athletes and attracting mega events to Hong Kong. In the 2025-26 financial year, we estimate about 20 major international sport events will be funded by the MARC system. We'll continue to support the system through the Arts and Sports Development Fund. We'll also adopt a more strategic approach in continuously attracting sports events which bring significant economic benefits to Hong Kong, in turn strengthening our position as a center for major international sports events. The Kai Tai Sports Park is Hong Kong's premier event venue. It's become the new hub for hosting major sports and entertainment events. It helps promote the development of sports and foster that of recreation, entertainment, tourism, and mega economy. We'll continue with our close dialogue with operators and relevant stakeholders. Together, we'll seize the opportunities brought by this world-class venue and unleash our power as a center for mega events. Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau will co-host the 15 national games, the 12 national games for PWDs, and the 9th National Special Olympic Games in November and December this year. We are in a final stretch of preparation. We are confident that Hong Kong people and tourists will be attracted to watch the games. Moreover, the selection of athletes for the mass participation events is in full swing. We leverage this opportunity to further promote sports development in Hong Kong, foster our integration with the GBA, and enhance our collaboration. President, as we submit, I appeal to members to support the Appropriation Bill 2025. Thank you, President.
Secretary for Development. President, I thank all members for sharing their views in the context of the debate on the Appropriation Bill 2025. They have commented on the work of the Development Bureau on proceeding with works project, the Northern Metropolis, streamlining development controls and promoting the construction sectors. Now, I want to start by talking about land and infrastructure. These represent key investments for Hong Kong. The medium-range forecast shows that the capital works expenditure will go up from $90 billion per year to $120 billion per year. The government will follow this direction and make plans based on the priorities. The government and the private sector will have to lower construction costs. For the government, we will work on 4 things. 1, enhancing procurement models. 2, enhancing our building standards. 3, taking the lead in going digital for the construction industry and making good use of technology. And 4, streamlining development control measures. Making good use of technology and streamlining procedures can reduce the need for manpower, enhance productivity, and reduce wage costs, which make up a huge part of construction costs, and we will launch measures as and when they are ready. Within this year, we will come up with a centralized procurement proposal for procuring MIC modules and steel reinforcement bars. We will also align the different standards so that we can bring in quality construction materials from the mainland and overseas. We will also work through the Construction Innovation and Technology Fund to promote the use of robotics and artificial intelligence. We will also be going ahead with the self-certification scheme to streamline development controls. The Project Strategy and Governance Office under the Development Bureau will continue to act as a gatekeeper and to explore ways to take part at an earlier stage in reviewing the applications about works and budgeting. The Northern Metropolis will be a key part to Hong Kong's long-term and sustainable development. It will be a key investment. So as we continue to prioritize resources for the NM, we will also apply new thinking and adopt diversified models in development. We will leverage market forces to boost speed and efficiency. For 3 sites for large-scale land disposal, we have invited expressions of interest from the market. We received 22 EOIs. Starting from the second half of this year, we will be starting the tendering exercises for the 3 pilot sites. And for the 3 coastal and island tourism projects, we also started the EOI exercise, and that exercise covers Chinpecher and Pak Nai in the northern metropolis. We're taking a new approach. So even before we start the town planning process, we have started inviting EOIs from the market. For these island projects, we can get the market involved, especially businesses with experience in such projects, so that we can implement those projects sooner. Starting from the end of 2023, we have enhanced the in-situ land exchange arrangements for the NM. That way, private landowners will have more opportunities for taking part in the NM development. There have been 5 successful land exchange cases so far. In the beginning of this month, there was a large-scale in-situ land exchange arrangement concerning Hongshui. We're also exploring other measures to provide a better environment for market players to take part in development. So we're exploring the option of allowing landowners to voluntarily surrender land to the government when resumption happens. That's to offset the premium they have to pay for land exchange, in-situ land exchange, or large-scale land disposal for new development areas. We're also exploring the pay-for-what-you-build approach, as well as offering tenancies of longer than 7 years. And we're also looking at Hongshui Hachun as a place for setting up a government-held corporation to run a logistics park. The Development Bureau will continue to work with different approving departments to launch measures to streamline development control procedures, that's to lower construction costs. Last July, our Bureau issued an internal circular expressly requiring all approving departments to adopt a facilitator's mindset when they deal with applications. And we have laid down a work plan. Starting from the 3rd quarter last year, all the way to the end of this year, departments and bureaus will be putting in place 60 new measures. These measures cover self-certification by professionals. At more stages, there will be phased submission of information, and we will be streamlining land administration procedures. We will be overseeing the delivery of these measures. We will also work with the industry. We will tap the experience of the industry to identify more areas where we can streamline procedures. Many members have commented on promoting Hong Kong's construction industry. Going digital and adopting new technology will be key to promoting new quality productive forces in the construction sector. Last August, we set up the Building Technology Research Institute. This institute works closely with the Development Bureau and Works Department so that we can adopt construction materials, technology, and machinery. On the training of talent, we have set aside $15 million to support the work of the Center of Excellence for Major Project Proponents. We aim to train 100 key project leaders and mid-level management staff from the government and also in the sector. We will also set aside $95 million to extend the on-the-job training allowance pilot scheme. So for the next 2 school years, we will provide on-the-job training for graduates of higher diploma programs in construction. We will support them as they take courses related to the construction industry. There will be an extra 1,000 students who will benefit. We are aware that in recent years, construction projects are becoming fewer in the private sector. Without support, the Construction Industry Council will spend $150 million to provide on-the-job training for 2,500 graduates in engineering, construction, surveying, planning, and landscaping. This scheme is very popular, and we are already now processing the applications. President, we will proceed with our work on supporting socio-economic development. At the same time, we will work to reduce construction costs. Land planning and development requires a vision and planning. We also have to adapt by making changes in response to the rapidly evolving socio-economic circumstances. We have to build in flexibility. We have to leverage market forces. The government also has to take the lead. We will continue to boost quantity, speed, efficiency, and we will be mindful of the circumstances. We will strike a proper balance. I so submit. I urge members to pass the Appropriation Bill 2025.
Secretary for Innovation, Technology and Industry. President, I thank members for their invaluable insights on innovation technology development put forward during the second reading debate. Technology is the primary productive force, and innovation is the foremost driver of development. It is closely related to enhancing competitiveness and advancing economic progress. In recent years, the government has made an all-out effort to drive Hong Kong's I&T development. It also resolutely implements the strategic directions and priorities outlined in the Hong Kong Innovation Technology Development Blueprint announced in late 2022. As a result, the ecosystem has grown increasingly vibrant. Amid intensifying global competition, we must ramp up the development of I&T in Hong Kong so as to realize the vision of becoming an international I&T center. Aligning closely with the directions and key strategies of the I&T blueprint, this year's budget proposed targeted measures across a number of major areas, such as AI as a pivotal industry, boosting the tech sector, sustaining R&D momentum, ensuring land supply for R&T, enhancing public service efficiency, and deepening collaboration with the mainland. I will briefly address members' views on these areas. A thriving I&T ecosystem can help promote industrial growth, hence attract talents. We'll continue to enhance this ecosystem, including the development of AI into a pivotal industry as outlined in the budget. Apart from Cyberport's AI supercomputing center, which is up and running, and AI subsidy scheme already rolled out, $1 billion have been earmarked in the budget for the establishment of the Hong Kong AI Research and Development Institute to spearhead R&D innovation and industrial applications. The Digital Policy Office is finalizing the proposal. We also note members' concerns on fostering diversified industrial and economic growth. Last year, we enhanced the new industrialization funding scheme, which has already supported over 100 new smart production lines in Hong Kong. 2 applications have been received and approved under the new Industrialization Acceleration Scheme launched last year. To incentivize market investments in strategic emerging and future industries, we're preparing to set up a $10 billion Innovation Technology Industry-Oriented Fund, or ITIF. Invitations have been sent for expressions of interest, and so far 60 have been received. We'll review the feedback and seed funding approval from the FC by the middle of this year. $100 million have also been set aside in this year's budget for the 2-year pilot manufacturing and production line upgrade support scheme to be launched within this year. Up to $250,000 in matching grants will be provided to each eligible enterprise with a production line in Hong Kong. We're also preparing to launch the I&T Accelerator Pilot Scheme to attract experienced professional startup service agencies to set up incubators in Hong Kong. Each candidate selected will be eligible for up to $30 million in matching grants. On advancing R&D, some members stressed the need to sustain investment in R&D even amid fiscal deficits. Investments should be made in education, technology, and talent development. We fully agree that R&D is integral to R&D development. We're inviting proposals from universities in relation to the third Inno-Hong Kong research clusters, focusing on advanced manufacturing, materials, energy, and sustainability. The Hong Kong Microelectronics R&D Institute will set up 2 pilot lines at Yuen Long Microelectronics Center this year for commissioning next year to support product development and pilot production. We're also inviting submissions from institutions for establishing life and health tech research institutes to contribute to national aerospace efforts. The Hong Kong Space, Robotics and Energy Center under Inno-Hong Kong has been established to support the Chandler 8 lunar mission. Another issue close to the heart of members is I&T land supply, especially the development of the Hong Kong Park at the Loop. The He-Tao Shenzhen Hong Kong Science and Technology Innovation Cooperation Zone is a key collaboration platform in the Greater Bay Area. It comprises the Hong Kong Park and Shenzhen Park under the concepts of one river, 2 banks, and 1 zone, 2 parks. Guided by the development outline for the Hong Kong Park of the He-Tao Shenzhen Hong Kong Science and Technology Innovation Cooperation Zone, we are advancing its 4 strategic directions and 2 5-year goals. $3.7 billion have been earmarked in this year's budget to expedite Phase 1 infrastructure and facilities. With the first 3 buildings nearing completion, the park will commence operation later this year. We will also invite private development proposals for the remaining Phase 1 sites so as to accelerate development of the park through public-private partnerships. During the debate, some members proposed reforms to enhance governance and in particular promote e-government for cost and efficiency gains. This exactly aligns with our goal of leveraging technology to enhance public services. This year, we will strive to achieve a single portal for public services on IM Smart Platform. The Digital Policy Office will also roll out the Digital Corp ID platform by the end of next year to drive corporate digital transformation and improve online application processing efficiency. The Hong Kong Guide or Hong Kong pilot supported by the Hong Kong Guide Institute in the Inno-Hong Kong Center has been commissioned. Over 12,000 users have signed up for their service. Now, on deepening collaboration with the mainland, members propose strengthening cross-boundary data flow to foster greater collaboration with the Greater Bay Area. The standard contract for cross-boundary personal data flow, launched in November last year, has been expanded to cover all sectors with a view to promoting data flow in a secure and orderly manner. The Shenzhen-Hong Kong-Guangzhou cluster has ranked second globally for 5 consecutive years in the World Intellectual Property Organization's Global Innovation Index, or GII, underscoring the region's potential in I&T collaboration. With our country's staunch support, the publication event for the top 100 S&T clusters in WIPO Global Innovation Index 2025 will be held in Hong Kong. President members, this year's budget has continued to place emphasis on I&T development, investing into the future, and promoting high-quality development in Hong Kong. Well, days ago, when the presidency was in Shanghai, he remarked that we need to create impetus for growth through I&T development so as to create more I&T hubs with impact. This is meaningful for Hong Kong. This also provides guidance for the future I&T development in Hong Kong. Well, we do have a deficit at the moment. We must not, however, relax our pace when it comes to I&T development. We should continue to invest in I&T, and this percentage, that is 1% to GDP, should continue, and we should continue to contribute to our country in building I&T hub. I so submit that I urge members to support the Appropriation Bill 2025.
運輸及物流
Secretary for Transport and Logistics. Deputy President, I thank members for expressing their valuable views on the transport and logistics fronts during the debate on the Appropriation Bill. Now I'd like to respond in brief. A number of members talked about the imposition of the so-called reciprocal tariffs as announced by the U.S. It was in breach of the rules of the World Trade Organization and exerted an impact on the overall volume of global trade and supply chain. The SAR government and the trade will actively work together with the industry, that is the shipping sector and the aviation sector, to rise to the challenges brought by the trade war to us with a strong will. We will seek opportunities amid the crisis. On aviation, the government will take active measures, including expanding our aviation network and expanding the scale of the airport city. We will also enhance passenger and cargo connectivity between the airport and cities in the GBA through Fly via Zhuhai, Hong Kong, express route for air and land, fresh and live products, and sea air intermodal cargo transshipment mode, thereby consolidating our status as an international aviation hub. As of March 2025, there are some 140 airlines operating flights between the Hong Kong International Airport and over 200 destinations all around the world. Local airlines are operating flights to more destinations. In the first 4 months of this year, there have been new direct passenger flights to Hyderabad, India, Guilin, Zhangjiajie, and Urumqi in mainland China, as well as Dallas in the U.S. Direct flight services to Munich, Germany, Brussels, Belgium, Rome, Italy, Yiwu, and Changzhou in mainland China will be gradually launched. Our country is vigorously promoting new quality productive forces. The Working Group on Developing Low-Altitude Economy is implementing all relevant measures at full steam. The Civil Aviation Department will launch the first batch of pilot projects of the regulatory sandboxes in various districts starting from May this year. Members of the public will have first-hand experience of the convenience and efficiency of the low-altitude economy. We plan to propose legislative amendments to the Legislative Council within this quarter to permit trial flights of advanced air mobility in Hong Kong and to expand the regulatory scope of the existing Small Unmanned Aircraft Order CAF 448G to cover unmanned aircraft weighing between 25 and 150 kgs. We are also grateful to members for their support for the measures to consolidate and enhance Hong Kong's status as an international shipping center as mentioned in the budget. At the end of last month, the Council green-lighted the funding application for the development of a port community system. We are developing this system at full pelt. We are also working out the details on enhancements to tax measures for the shipping industry and for commodity traders. Later this year, we will introduce our concrete proposals to the Council. At the same time, the government is actively seeking more sources of cargo and expanding the cargo catchment for the Hong Kong port, especially connecting Western Guangdong and Guangxi through the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. To this end, we will strive to establish a rail, sea, land, river, three-dimensional intramodal transport system, which is a logistics corridor passing various provinces. We aim to attract more cargo to Hong Kong for transshipment. We will also actively expand overseas markets in order to help the logistics sector in Hong Kong to seek opportunities amid the crisis. On green shipping, we're actively driving the transformation of the industry and will continue to implement measures in the action plan on green maritime fuel bunkering. For example, liquefied natural gas bunkering has been conducted in Hong Kong waters for 4 times this year so far. And we will also advance the announcement of the code of practice on green methanol bunkering in the middle of this year. The industry has been invited to submit expressions of interest in respect of a site in Tingyi South set aside for green maritime fuel storage facilities. This year and next year, We will identify ports suitable for developing green shipping corridor with Hong Kong and start the relevant discussion. We will also actively consider joining existing green shipping corridors to build an ecosystem with a view to developing Hong Kong into a green maritime fuel bunkering center in the long run. On transport infrastructures, we will go green, go digital to further consolidate our position as an international position for the shipping center. On transport infrastructures, the government is pressing ahead with a number of railway, mass transit system, and major road projects to meet the development needs of Hong Kong and to integrate with the Greater Bay Area, GBA. I thank members for their support for the government's spirit of breaking new ground. Different modes of financing, construction, and development are introduced through dual innovation in policy and technology. We also study the streamlining of procedures and the adoption of mainland and overseas innovative technologies to enhance speed and efficiency in order to improve the quality and cost-effectiveness of works. As for the individual infrastructure projects members refer to, the government will conduct consultation on the design of the South Island Line West in due course and liaise with stakeholders. We also thank the Council for support for the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail Link Hongshui-Q-Tianhai project. When we carry out work on the investigation and design of the said project, we will maintain flexibility to allow extension towards the north and the south in the future. While we are taking forward new projects, we attach a lot of importance to the safety and reliability of existing railways. The government is highly concerned about the 2 engineering train faults on the East Rail Line that happened within 3 months, which caused hour-long service disruptions in the daytime. With regard to the incident that took place last Sunday on the 27th of April, the government has requested that the MTRCL conduct a comprehensive review and submit a report in 1 month. I've met with their management and expressed the government's disappointment. I've requested that the MTRCL must expedite the use of innovative technologies such as AI to strengthen its capability for predictive inspection and maintenance to prevent the recurrence of the same type of incidents. The government and the MTRCL will give the relevant panel an account of the follow-up. The government is reviewing traffic-related charges and penalties. The overall consideration is to improve traffic management and to maintain the discipline and sustainability of public finance. The government mainly reviews the items to which adjustments have not been made for many years. Last week, we consulted a panel on transport on 3 proposals, namely 1. Rationalizing the license fee structures and levels for electric private cars, 2. Adjusting the fee levels for on-street parking meters, and 3. Adjusting the fixed penalty levels for traffic contraventions. The penalty levels for illegal parking and most traffic contraventions, as well as the fee levels of on-street parking meters, have not been adjusted for over 30 years. We hope that members will consider the necessity of adjustments in a comprehensive manner. I'd like to add that the government has actively adopted measures to provide more parking spaces in the short, medium, and long run. In the past few years, there have been over 15,000 more parking spaces available in Hong Kong. The number of parking spaces in licensed vehicles shows a steady rise. With the support of the Council for funding, a number of public car parks will be built in the coming few years under the principle of single-site multiple uses. This will bring 3,200 more parking spaces. 460 of them are for commercial vehicles. In addition, the Hong Kong Planning Standards and Guidelines were revised in 2021 to provide more ancillary parking spaces in private and subsidized housing development projects. We are exploring with the Housing Bureau the possibility of allowing commercial vehicles to be parked in the loading and unloading bays in 5 public housing estates in the evening. There will be 700 parking spaces with automated parking systems, which will be available gradually in the future. I'm confident that there will be a significant improvement in the issue of parking spaces. It is estimated that there will be at least 1,500 more parking spaces and 70 more on-street parking meters. In respect of tunnel tolls, we plan to put forward a proposal and consult the Council within this quarter. Last of all, on promoting integration with the GBA, northbound travel for Hong Kong vehicles was implemented successfully. The usage of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge has recorded new highs. This March, it saw a two-way vehicular flow of 410,000, up by 140% prior to the implementation of northbound travel for Hong Kong vehicles. Vehicles under this scheme account for about half of the bridge. We are actively hammering out the details and implementation arrangements of southbound travel for Guangdong vehicles with various units in the mainland. We expect to announce the details within this year. Deputy President, I so submit. I appeal to members to support the Appropriation Bill 2025.
主席，
Secretary for Labor and Welfare, President, I thank members for their views on social welfare, labor, and manpower development. I'd now like to take this opportunity to give a response. I note that some members are concerned about the replacement of government public transport fare concession scheme for the elderly and eligible persons with disabilities, the $2 concessionary fare scheme with $2 come 80% discount arrangement, and the cap of 240 concessionary trips per month. The proposal retains the policy intent while striking a balance between ensuring sustainability of the scheme and minimizing the impact caused to the beneficiaries. Upon negotiating with the Octopus Cards Limited and the public transport operators, the $2 come 80% discount proposal can be implemented in April 2026, which is 5 months earlier than our original estimates, saving us an additional $260 million. As for the limit on concessionary trips, we estimate that it will come into effect 1 year after the implementation of the $2 come 80% discount proposal. On services for the elderly, the government has increased the number of residential care service voucher and community care service voucher by 1,000 since April this year. We will continue to improve the residential care services scheme in Guangdong starting from next month. We will offer care services to elderly who join the scheme to help them adapt to their lives in Guangdong. We will also share some of their medical fees on a 2-year pilot basis starting from the second half of this year. To enhance support for persons with disabilities, the government will, starting from the third quarter of this year, regularize the pilot project on enhancing vocational rehabilitation services to enhance the service and training model of social workshops, integrated vocational rehabilitation service centers. The government will set up 14 integrated community rehabilitation centers in phases to provide flexible community support services, create an additional 1,280 community rehabilitation and home care service places, and introduce 90 peer support posts at district support centers for persons with disabilities and family relatives resource centers. We will also provide about 1,040 additional places for day, residential, and preschool rehabilitation services in the year 2025-26. The government cares about young people's mental health. In Q2 this year, we're going to enhance the services of the cyber youth support teams to provide an online support platform for the emotional wellness of the young people. As the pilot supporting elderly and carers scheme has been effective, we have extended the scheme across the territory in April this year to provide support to elderly and carers in all 18 districts. To assist working families in childbearing, the government is setting up 11 aided standalone childcare centers with the total number of service places of 2,000. The service places of the Neighborhood Support Childcare Project will increase to 2,500, with the estimated number of beneficiaries increasing from 20,000 to 25,000. The government strives to protect the interests of children. To dovetail with the operation of the mandatory reporting of child abuse ordinance in January 2026, the government has been working with the trade in making preparations such as providing training and guidelines to mandated reporters, increasing the number of emergency residential child care places, and enhancing professional support for children who have been abused and their family. To combat child abuse at source, the government will set up 4 community parents and children's centers to support families in need. On utilization of resources, to support NGOs operating subvented welfare services and implementing the Productivity Enhancement Program, the Social Welfare Department is going to shoulder part of the financial impact, work together with the NGOs to remove barriers, streamline procedures, transform, and ride out the tide. The Social Welfare Department has rolled out multiple measures in the past 2 months, such as allowing the NGOs to keep reserves that exceed lump sum grant ceiling, reducing the workload of handling cost apportionment, and improving the funding and service agreements. The Social Welfare Department will also relax procurement procedures and ceiling amount requirements for the NGOs so that they are consistent with the government stores and procurement regulations. As regards labor, the government continues to strengthen the protection of labor rights and enhance the workforce. The abolition of the offsetting arrangement will take effect tomorrow. Meanwhile, the government will launch a 25-year subsidy scheme to help employers adapt to the policy change. On the same day, the statutory minimum wage will be raised to $42.10 an hour, and the new annual review mechanism will be implemented. In addition, the government is pressing ahead with 2 important legislative amendments. One is to amend the Trade Unions Ordinance to strengthen the protection of national security and to improve the regulatory regime of trade unions. The other is to amend the Employment Ordinance to revise the working hours threshold of the continuous contract requirements so as to enable more employees to enjoy full employment rights and benefits. I call upon members of the LegCo to support these 2 bills. The government is also reviewing the enhanced supplementary labor scheme. We will duly consider the views of the stakeholders, including employer association and labor groups, before we formulate the way forward. On employment services, the Labor Department relaxed the eligibility criteria and raised the corporate subsidy of the GBA Youth Employment Scheme. The eligibility criteria for the Youth Employment and Training Program has also been relaxed with internship opportunities in the Greater Bay Area. The Labor Department will continue to implement the 3-year re-employment allowance scheme to encourage more middle and senior-aged people to work. On occupational safety and health, the Labor Department will enhance the application of technology. Apart from the use of small unmanned aircraft to assist in law enforcement starting from the second half of this year, the department is also looking into the use of electronic statement to enhance work efficiency of frontline law enforcement officers. Trawling for talents is one of the focuses of the current term government. The government is revamping various admission schemes to meet manpower needs and to support development. We have introduced a new mechanism under the Quality Migrant Admission Scheme to proactively invite top-notch talents to come to Hong Kong for development. And in the process, we will proactively lobby and provide personalized facilitation arrangements for the invitees. In addition, the government will introduce a new channel in the first half of this year to allow a limited number of young, non-degree holders with relevant professional and technical skills and experience to apply for entry into Hong Kong to join designated skilled trade with acute manpower shortage. The Hong Kong Talent Engage will continue to provide one-stop support services for incoming talents by organizing workshops, seminars, job fairs, and community integration activities to help them adapt to their lives here. While trawling for talents, the government also attaches importance to nurturing local talents. Since the beginning of this year, the Employees Retraining Board has lifted the upper limit of academic qualifications for their trainees, upgraded its training courses and strategies to provide skill-based training for the entire workforce, as well as strengthened its cooperation with tertiary institutions and leading enterprises and enriching the program that they offer. By the end of this year, the ERB will submit to the government a proposal for medium and long-term reforms, so as to provide more comprehensive support to people of different levels and academic qualifications in pursuing continuing education, thereby enhancing the competitiveness of the local workforce. The Manpower Projection 2023, published by the Labour and Welfare Bureau in 2024, covers manpower shortfall projections for Hong Kong as a whole and for major industries, including analysis on the demand for different job types and critical skills. It has also taken into account the trends of imported workers and the local workforce under the prevailing policies, and incorporated their impact on future manpower supply into the results of the projection. We plan to launch a midterm update of the manpower projection by the end of this year. In the projection, we will incorporate the impact of the latest economic and technological developments, industrial policies, talent admission schemes on demand and supply of manpower. We will pay attention to planning and integration of incoming talents with local manpower resources. President also submit IPO to members to support the Appropriation Bill 2025.
And I'll call upon the Financial Secretary to reply. President and honorable members, good morning. I thank members for giving their valuable comments on the 2025 to 26 budget in a council meeting 2 weeks ago. The budget does not just focus on how to tackle the challenges we face, but also on the opportunities that lie ahead. We're now in a world of unprecedented changes. The global economic environment is complex, volatile, and full of uncertainties. Just now, 7 secretaries have replied on some of the policy areas that are close to your heart. I'll now give an overview of the latest situation of the global, mainland, and Hong Kong economies, and then speak on these suggestions and major concerns raised by members. Global and Hong Kong economic situation. The U.S. has disregarded rules of the World Trade Organization and undermined the multilateral trading system, following the unjustified 20% tariff on imports from China, including Hong Kong, as well as 25% tariffs on iron and steel, aluminium, and automobiles from various places in February and March this year. The U.S. announced in early April the so-called reciprocal tariffs on almost all of its trading partners. Shockwaves were sent as a result to international financial markets. Concerns about the risk of recession in the U.S. and the global economy were rising. Although the U.S. subsequently suspended the so-called reciprocal tariffs on most economies for 90 days, the unjustified 145% tariff on imports of goods from China, including Hong Kong, stayed. Adding the tariffs levied earlier, the cumulative import tariffs on some commodities are as high as 245%, which is a crazy level. The tariff war started unilaterally by the U.S. disrupts the world trade order. The global industrial and supply chains face massive risks of fragmentation. Under the extreme pressure of the U.S. hegemony, the downside risks and uncertainties of the global economy have mounted. In a report published last week, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has dialed down its forecast for global economic growth this year from 3.3% at the beginning of the year to 2.8%, which is significantly lower than the average growth rate of 3.7% in the 2 decades before the epidemic. It stated that the economic outlook is dominated by increasing downside risks. The IMF also pointed out that a sharp intensification in trade friction and high policy uncertainty would have a huge impact on global economic activity, dampening consumption and investment, as well as exacerbating financial market volatility. Among the major economies, the mainland has economic fundamentals that are strong and capable of meeting the challenges. The mainland economy started on a positive note this year, with a year-on-year growth of 5.4% in Q1. Growth in consumption and investment picked up during the period, whilst exports were robust. The unreasonable tariffs imposed by the U.S. will inevitably put pressure on foreign trade in the near term. However, the government work report has boosted policy support to expand domestic demand across the board. In addition, the Ministry of Finance has indicated that the central government has earmarked sufficient reserve tools and policy flexibility. The People's Bank of China has also stated that it would reduce the required reserve ratio and interest rate at an appropriate juncture and has agreed to support the use of the central Huijin investment to stabilize the capital market. In a meeting last week, the Central Politburo stressed on the need to stabilize employment, enterprises, market and expectations, and to make full preparations to tackle external challenges. The meeting also reiterated the need to increase earnings of low and middle income groups, boost service consumption and high support to affected enterprises, and introduce incremental reserve policies in light of changes in situation. It's believed that the mainland's economy will continue to grow steadily. Economic activity in the Eurozone saw a mild expansion early this year. Headline inflation slowed to 2.2% in March, which is close to the European Central Bank's target. With the economic outlook weighed down by the intensifying tariff war, the European Central Bank further cut interest rates at its April meeting, which is the 7th time since the start of the cycle in June last year. The market expects another cut by 50 basis points by the end of the year. The IMF forecasts that the Eurozone economy will grow by 0.8% this year, slightly lower than the 0.9% last year. In the US, the market in general was of the view that the economy is still growing in Q1, albeit at a slower pace. The labor market was broadly stable. Inflation eased in the first quarter but was above the Fed's target. Business and household confidence in the outlook has plummeted in recent months, which means there are concerns about uncertainty in trade and the monetary policy of the US. The market still broadly expect that the Fed will cut interest rates by a further 75 to 100 basis points before the end of the year, but the track of interest rates remains highly uncertain. The IMF's latest forecast is that the U.S. economy will slow down from 2.8% last year to 1.8% this year, which is significantly lower than the 2.7% forecast earlier this year. It also raises the chance of a recession to about 40%. Economic activity in most economies in Asia continued to expand in the first quarter, with solid growth in external trade. However, given the impact of the tariff war, the latest forecast by the IMF is 4.5% this year for emerging and developing Asian economies, much lower than last year's 5.3%. Turning to Hong Kong, the economy performed well in the first quarter of this year. The year-on-year growth in merchandise exports value sped up to 11% in the first quarter. Exports to a number of major markets recorded increase of different extent. Exports to the mainland grew strongly by 16%. Exports to ASEAN surged by 25%, and those to the US went up by 4% as a change. Over the same period, visitor arrivals rose by 9% year-on-year to 12.23 million. This is a new quarterly high after the epidemic. It should sustain growth in exports of related services. Total retail sale value improved relatively. The seasonally adjusted figures rose in January and February. The year-on-year decline in the first 2 months has tapered from last December. The labor market remained tight. The seasonally adjusted unemployment rate remains low at 3.2% in Q1. Inflation remained muted, with underlying consumer price inflation at 1.2% in the first quarter, the same as in Q4 last year. Price pressure on major components were broadly contained. On the asset market, the Hang Seng Index performed strongly in Q1 this year. The so-called reciprocal tariffs announced in early April shocked the global financial markets and caused significant fluctuations in Hong Kong's stock market. However, trading was smooth and orderly, money market functioned normally, and the Hong Kong dollar remained stable under the linked exchange rate. The stock market has stabilized after a significant correction in early April, with the Hang Seng Index closing at 22,000 points last year, about 10% higher than at the end of last year. Average daily turnover so far this year exceeded $250 billion, much higher than the $187 billion in Q4 last year. The residential property market remained lackluster in the first 2 months of the year. However, after the announcement to raise the maximum value of properties chargeable to $100 stamp duty from $3 million to $4 million, the market sentiment has improved slightly. Transactions livened up and the decline of property prices slowed down. The drop in property prices in March tapered while rental level continued to climb. However, rapid changes in the external environment may affect market sentiment in the short term. We'll continue to closely monitor market changes and endeavor to maintain a steady development in the property market. Hong Kong is a small and externally oriented economy. In the face of increasing friction in global trade, Hong Kong can hardly be immune to pressure on its short-term outlook. The rising uncertainty over the U.S. monetary policy and the global economic outlook will dampen private consumption and investment sentiment. Changes in consumption pattern of tourists and the general public will also continue to pose constraints. Nevertheless, the sustained growth of the mainland economy and the measures introduced by the SAR government to stimulate the economy and support enterprises will lend support to different segments of the economy. The government will announce the advanced GDP estimates for the first quarter on Friday. Hong Kong's economy is expected to grow steadily in Q1. We will also announce our latest economic growth forecast for the whole year in the middle of next month. A calm response to the tariff war. President, I note that a lot of members are very concerned about the so-called reciprocal tariff and its impact on Hong Kong. I've been expressing the stance and views of the SAR government on various occasions and on the blog. I don't intend to repeat them. I want to stress one point. In the face of the bullying and protectionism of the US, Hong Kong must understand the new landscape and new order of global trade and economy. At a time like this, it's more important for us to stay a zero tariff and free port, continue with the policy of free trade, safeguard the free and efficient flow of goods, capital, and information. Despite the challenges and uncertainties in the future, Hong Kong will certainly turn crisis. Hong Kong enjoys a unique advantage under one country, two systems. As a super connector and super value adder, Hong Kong has what it takes to capitalize on the opportunities and restructuring to attract more enterprises to come to Hong Kong and to push for high quality development amidst changes.
President, various bureaus and departments of the SAR government are actively promoting the economic development of Hong Kong. After the announcement of the budget, a number of measures have made significant progress, including the official launch of the pilot regulatory sandbox project for low-to economy, the approval by the Chief Executive in Council of the Northern Link Mainline scheme, the receipt by the Development Bureau of 22 expressions of interest for 3 large-scale land disposal pilot locations in the Northern Metropolis, the Development Bureau submitting a paper to LegCo last week announcing the preliminary development proposals for the Hong Kong harbourfront and neighbouring sites and launching a 2-month public consultation yesterday. In addition, the OECs announced early this month that a new batch of 18 strategic enterprises would be settling in Hong Kong. The progress is encouraging and highlights the fact that under the leadership of the Chief Executive, the SAR government has been talking the talk and walking the walk, taking prompt action with the implementation of measures conducive to Hong Kong's economic development. The budget proposes to promote a mega events economy. I'm sure members noticed that we organized a series of events in Super March, bringing together leaders and elites from different sectors, as well as enthusiasts and spectators. The Hong Kong Rugby Sevens held for the first time at the Kai Tak Sports Park was one of the highlights. On the financial front, there were also a number of major international conferences, including summits organized by the government and various financial, academic, media, and international organizations, which attracted participants from all over the world. Driven by a series of mega events, Hong Kong received over 3.82 million visitors in March alone, representing a year-on-year increase of about 12%, including about 1.07 million non-mainland visitors. We will continue to promote the mega events economy to attract more high-value added visitors to Hong Kong and stimulate the market. Many members expressed support for the proposal in the budget to make good use of AI to accelerate the cultivation of new quality productive forces, develop AI as a key industry, and empower traditional industries to upgrade and transform. The rapid development of AI technology is reshaping the medium to long-term landscape of the global economy. Among other things, AI Plus involves the in-depth integration of AI technology with various industries, bringing changes to many traditional modes of production, business, and consumption, and redefining the core competitiveness of different economies. The budget has earmarked $1 billion for the establishment of the Hong Kong AI R&D Institute. This demonstrates our determination to promote the R&D commercialization and industrial application of AI. We will vigorously enhance the 5 factors of AI, namely computational power, algorithms, data, talents, and capital, and step up efforts to develop new application scenarios to accelerate our progress towards the goal of having AI empower industrial development. At the same time, we must strengthen the nurturing and pooling of I&T talents to promote application, stimulate innovation, and facilitate the in-depth integration of technology with industry to create impetus for the high-quality development of Hong Kong's economy. To this end, the Science Park and Cyberport are coordinating their partners and startups to have exchanges with local primary and secondary school students to share their experience in cutting-edge technology exploration and entrepreneurship. We have also invited major tech enterprises to provide resources, technical guidance, and practice venues for technology education. The objective of these activities is to bring the talents, knowledge, and experience of the tech industry to the forefront of education, thereby stimulating young people's curiosity in innovation and exploration, and nurturing them to become the future leaders of INT. As for the Hong Kong Investment Corporation, it will organize the first international conference on embodied AI robot and the first international Young Scientist Forum on AI this year to bring together top talents in the industry and promote technology exchanges and industrialization of AI. In addition, the budget proposes to continue to accord priority to investing resources in the Northern Metropolis. The key industrial projects in the Northern Metropolis include INT high-end professional services in modern logistics, tertiary education, and culture, sports, and tourism, which will bring quality employment opportunities and living environment to the public. With the commencement of the relevant projects in the Northern Metropolis, more industrial sites will be made available in the coming years, and the government's expenditure on these projects will reach its peak. To ensure that these projects will be implemented on schedule and benefit the economy and people's livelihood as soon as possible, we will make good use of market resources flexibly and adopt diversified development modes to take forward the relevant projects, including in situ land exchange, piloting large-scale land disposal, and issuing government bonds for financing. Last week, and as the Secretary for Development mentioned just now, the Development Bureau also announced the completion of the first application for in-situ land exchange in Hung Shui Q, which will provide about 2,300 flats. The resolution adopted by the third plenary session of the 20th CPC Central Committee proposed that we should give full play to the strengths of one country, two systems, consolidate and enhance Hong Kong's status as an international financial, shipping, and trade center, and support Hong Kong to become an international hub for high-caliber talents. In future, based on the strategic positioning of three centers and a hub, we must consolidate and enhance the industries where Hong Kong enjoys clear advantages, and at the same time actively cultivate and develop new industries to inject greater impetus into the Hong Kong economy, enable Hong Kong to achieve faster and better development in the course of contributing to Chinese modernization. Last year, Hong Kong was ranked among the top 3 in the international financial centers. Earlier, Mr. Christopher Hui talked about our future direction in development of finance. The budget has gone into great detail how we plan to develop the finance industry, an industry in which Hong Kong traditionally enjoys advantages. We plan to do much to develop Hong Kong as a securities and derivatives market, a fixed income and money market, an asset and wealth management center, an offshore renminbi business center, and a gold and commodities trading center. We are keen to polish Hong Kong's brand as an international financial center. As an international trade center, Hong Kong enjoys a unique advantage of internal and external connectivity. The budget proposes to accelerate the development of Hong Kong into a multinational supply chain management center and provide credit, insurance, and one-stop advisory services to enterprises to facilitate enterprises to go global. Against the backdrop of the tariff war, the increasing fragmentation of the global economy may foster further economic cooperation within Asia. The mainland's manufacturing sector, with its clear international advantages, will definitely play a role in the restructuring of the industrial and supply chains in the region, which will in turn boost the demand for related professional services. In response to this trend, Hong Kong will actively make preparations in different markets to capitalize on this opportunity. In addition to assist local SMEs in tapping into the mainland market and increasing e-commerce sales, Hong Kong businesses will be able to make better use of the mainland's e-commerce and online shopping platforms to expand their business through the e-commerce express. We will also continue to consolidate our ties with traditional markets and further expedite our efforts in linking up with the emerging markets in the global south to open up new channels and markets for Hong Kong businesses and mainland enterprises, and at the same time facilitate and consolidate the in-depth integration and efficiency optimization of the regional industrial chain. Hong Kong is the leading international maritime center. The budget states the government will set up the Hong Kong Maritime and Port Development Board this year to inject greater momentum into the industry. The In February this year, the government witnessed the signing of an MOU between a leading aviation services company from France and the airport authority to explore the provision of professional services such as aircraft dismantling, parts recycling, and manpower training in Hong Kong. This should promote Hong Kong's development into Asia's first aircraft parts processing and trading center. This will deepen Hong Kong's role as an international aviation hub. On talent pooling, the budget proposes to enhance the talent admission schemes to attract talents to Hong Kong for development. The Hong Kong Talent Engage will also organize the second Global Talent Summit Hong Kong next year to consolidate Hong Kong's position as an international hub for high-caliber talents. The budget also touched on measures to promote the healthcare, cultural, and creative, and tourism and education industries. These include the government's proposal on the timetable for the establishment of the Hong Kong Center for Medical Products Regulation in the first half of this year, the organization of the second Hong Kong Performing Arts Expo, the promotion of characteristic tourism projects, the development of new sources of tourists from the Middle East and the ASEAN countries, as well as the launching of a new round of the research matching grant scheme involving $1.5 billion to speed up the development of new industries and promote the diversified development of Hong Kong's economy. I proposed in the budget that the government would actively explore the regulation of basketball betting. In this connection, the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau launched a consultation exercise early this month and will consider all public views before deciding on the way forward. I want to stress that the government's policy is not to encourage gambling. The government will adopt a multi-pronged approach to tackle the problems brought about by gambling. The reason for exploring the regulation of basketball betting is that the problem of illegal basketball betting in Hong Kong is deteriorating, and as the public's genuine demand for such services is being met through illegal channels, the problem cannot be fully resolved by law enforcement alone. Therefore, we hope that by regulating basketball betting, we can combat illegal gambling activities more effectively. The relevant work is not intended to increase government revenue. The government will not consider regulating the betting activities of the Hong Kong Jockey Club from a purely commercial perspective. All regulatory work must be in line with the government's policy objective not to encourage gambling. Public finance. Some members expressed concern about the financial stability of the SAR government. In this regard, I believe it is necessary to provide some detailed explanations. First, I would like to reiterate that the government has always adhered to the principle of keeping expenditure within the limits of revenue as stipulated in Article 107 of the Basic Law and is striving to restore fiscal balance and ensuring the resilience and sustainability of public finances. Hong Kong is a small and open economy whose economic performance is inevitably susceptible to external influences. When Hong Kong's economy faces increased downward pressure, the government revenue may also decline significantly. However, the fundamental objective of government policy is to safeguard the well-being of its citizens. Therefore, during economic downturns such as during the pandemic, we firmly and decisively implemented expansionary fiscal policies, using counter-cyclical measures to strengthen support for citizens and SMEs, thereby stabilizing social and market confidence and ensured employment for citizens. These measures achieved the expected results, but the government's finances inevitably became in deficit. However, when the economic environment improves, the government tax revenue and other income should increase, reducing the need for increased spending, resulting in a surplus. Therefore, when analyzing the government's fiscal position, we should not focus solely on short-term performance in a fiscal year. We should look from the perspective of the entire economic cycle. Secondly, to enable the public to better understand the composition and nature of government accounts, the budget clarifies that government revenue and expenditure are broadly categorized into two accounts, namely the operating account and the capital account. Revenue under the operating account mainly consists of various taxes, investment income, government fees, while expenditure mainly comprises the government's daily expenses. For the capital account, revenue is mainly related to land, while expenditure mainly involves infrastructure project and land acquisition expenditure. Given the different composition and nature of the two accounts, we need to manage them separately with distinct financial objectives and approaches. The operating account should adhere to the principle of keeping our expenses within the limits of revenue, with the goal of achieving a surplus. For the capital account, capital expenditure represents investments in the future, such as that in the Northern Metropolis, which will generate economic and social benefits upon completion and should be implemented in accordance with the needs of social and economic development. However, since revenue is subject to fluctuations in the economic cycle, there may be a gap between the revenue and the expenditure. In such case, we can utilize the surplus from the operating account or fiscal reserves, or flexibly leverage market resources, including various forms of public-private partnerships and bond issuance to address this situation.
第三，
Third, faced with the unusual years since 2019, which led to our deficit, we must act with resolve to consolidate public finance, contain expenditure, and find new sources of revenue. That's why the budget proposed the reinforced fiscal consolidation program with the focus on controlling expenditure, making good use of the government's fiscal resources, consolidating such resources, and finding new sources of revenue. The focus is on containing expenditure, supplemented by new sources of revenue, and that's how we will gradually restore fiscal balance. I have explained various parts of this reinforced program in detail on various occasions, so I do not propose to go through them again. I want to stress one point, though. The measures to raise revenue in the budget are in line with several key principles: maintaining the competitive edge of Hong Kong's simple and low tax regime, avoiding, as far as possible, the impact on the general public, and upholding as far as possible the principles that the user pays and those with more pay more. We will continue to review the government's fiscal position, the overall economic context, pressing needs and long-term needs as we make timely changes to our measures. Fourth, on bond issuance, we expect that during the medium-range forecast period, based on the current scale of bond issuance, the ratio of the government's debt to the gross domestic product will stay between 12 and 16.5%. This is a very healthy and manageable level that is also much lower than those of most advanced economies. The proceeds from bond issuance will be used for investing in the future instead of meeting day-to-day expenditure. This is the strict fiscal discipline that we have always maintained. Infrastructure project will also generate economic development opportunities and tax revenue. We will issue bonds of a longer tenure to support longer-term projects that will match our cash flow with project requirements. Meanwhile, this will also foster the development of Hong Kong's bond market. Later today, we will announce the consolidated account for 2024 to 25. The deficit is roughly $80.5 billion, and that's lower than the revised estimate of $87.2 billion, mainly due to the higher revenue from stamp duty on stocks and lower than expected departmental expenditure. The latest medium-range forecast published by the government shows the deficit in both the operating and the capital account will narrow year on year over the next 5 years. The operating account is mostly a balance in 2025 to 26. Starting from 2026 to 27, the operating account will return to a surplus. As for the capital account, starting from 2026 to 27, the deficit there will start shrinking. After taking into account the net proceeds from bond issuance, our consolidated account will return to a surplus from 2028 to 29 onwards. Our fiscal reserves will stay at the level covering 8 months of government expenditure. We have both the confidence and resolve to overcome the challenges to our public finance for Hong Kong to maintain its steady progress. President, for the past 2 months, especially at the council meeting 2 weeks ago, I listened attentively to the various views of electrical members on the budget. I am aware of members' keen concerns about the following matters, so I want to take this opportunity to give a response. First, expenditure on social welfare. Some members are concerned about the government's commitment to social welfare. I want to stress that for the new financial year, our recurrent expenditure on social welfare is over $130 billion. That's 22.2% of the estimate for the government's overall recurrent expenditure. up 9.8% in real terms over last year's revised estimate. Over the same period, local real GDP growth was only 2 to 3%. An aging population has brought financial pressure. That is a challenge we must face up to. In reviewing our spending on welfare, we should support the grassroots and the disadvantaged. We should also seek changes with new thinking so that we can achieve greater results with public resources while ensuring financial sustainability. Let me point out that the reduction in the resources will not affect the CSSA, the Social Security Allowance, and statutory expenditure. This is to ensure that there is still a safety net for people in financial need. The Labor and Welfare Bureau and the Social Welfare Department have done their utmost to redeploy resources so as to waive the cuts to 18 items that would otherwise see a 7% reduction in recurrent funding, such as the scheme offering a living allowance for carers of seniors or carers of persons with disabilities, and so on. Such efforts also mean the LWB and the SWD will bear part of the resource cuts for the social welfare organizations affected by the SWD. The SWD has also taken measures to relax restrictions. This is to help those organizations make better use of resources and streamline their administrative work. This shows that even with strained public finance, the government is committing necessary resources as much as it can to looking after the disadvantaged. With economic development and when our fiscal position improves, we will apply the same mindset and resolve to our work on meeting the needs of all sectors of the community and providing people most in need with services and support. Now I turn to the civil service establishment. Many members expressed concerns about the reduction in the civil service establishment. The budget proposed further optimizing the use of human resources and containing expenditure by trimming the civil service establishment. In each of the 2 years, 2026 to 27 and 2027 to 28, the civil service establishment will shrink by 2% from the level the year before. By April 2027, the overall civil service establishment is expected to be about 10,000 posts smaller. About 10% of the posts in the civil service establishment are vacant at the moment. There are calls for removing all these vacant posts to achieve even greater savings. Let me stress that our proposal to trim the civil service establishment is based on the premise of maintaining the level of public services. On this basis, our proposal seeks to review the necessity of all posts, consolidate work, or reprioritize tasks as ways of enhancing manpower arrangements. This effort will cover both filled and vacant posts. Therefore, a broad brush approach that accesses all vacant posts, which include many that need to be filled for maintaining public services, would be unwise. We will continue to hire officers for posts that need to stay, for example, air traffic control officers and station officers of the HAFSD. Meanwhile, as we review the necessity of all posts, which include field posts, posts with duties that can be redistributed can still be deleted. In fact, the proposed enhancement to the civil service establishment is a great opportunity to encourage departments to break new ground, think outside the box, and work faster with greater efficiency. We will take administrative measures and pursue digitalization as well as wider adoption of technology to promote work reprioritization, resource redeployment, and streamlining of procedure. This is to enable the government to maintain quality public services for the people while trimming the civil service establishment. Third, the air passenger departure tax. Many members have argued that they see things differently with the proposal about increasing the APDT from $120 to $200. This measure is expected to bring $1.6 billion in extra revenue to the government each year. The APDT was last adjusted 22 years ago. We think the proposed increase will have minimal impact on the overall traveling expenses of air passengers, including tourists. A comparison of the airfares of some short-haul routes from regional airports shows that for a few major short-haul destinations, the fares of short-haul flights from the Hong Kong International Airport were comparable to those from Shenzhen or Guangzhou airports. The fares for some flights departing from our airport are slightly higher than those departing from Shenzhen or Guangzhou. But flying from those cities on certain routes cost slightly more than journeys from Hong Kong. So based on this analysis, we believe that in assessing the competitiveness of Hong Kong's airport vis-a-vis that of other airports nearby, taxes and airfares are not the only factors to consider. The airfares of some flights departing from Hong Kong cost more, but these flights remain popular among Hong Kong residents and mainland travelers. As members may be aware, that your choice of destination, airport of departure, or airport of transit hinges on a wide range of factors other than departure tax and the airfare. Some factors carry greater weight than the departure tax and the airfare, including a city's location, connectivity with the other regions, coverage of airport route, frequency of flights, on-time performance of flights and the passenger services, facilities, and efficiency of the airport, and so on. Hong Kong, as an international aviation hub, has always done well in these aspects. In fact, many travelers planning their trips put these factors before minor changes in airfares. Given this, we believe the increase of $80 in our APDT will not harm the competitiveness of the HKIA. Let's look at 2003 and 2004, when we last increased our APDT. It went up from $80 to $120. Our airport's performance did not suffer. In fact, more and more tourists used our airport. 2003, 27 million. 2004, 37 million people. 2005, it was 40 million travelers. Since this proposal about the APDT was announced, the government has been in touch with various stakeholders. Taking into account their views, we have early announced relaxation of the criteria for exempting air passengers from the APDT. Originally, travelers qualify only if they catch their connecting flight on the day they arrive in Hong Kong. Our proposal will extend the exemption to next-day departures as well. We hope this will attract more transit passengers to the HKIA and get them to stay the night in our city. We have started drafting the relevant subsidiary legislation with the aim of implementing it on the 1st of October this year in tandem with the adjusted APDT. There are also calls for extending the exemption to transit travelers arriving in Hong Kong on land and by sea, meaning going through those boundary control points, so that we get more travelers from the GBA to our airport for transit. We're discussing the exemption with the airport authority. After finalizing the scope and implementation details of the exemption, we will submit the subsidiary legislation to LegCo for scrutiny, also with the aim of implementing that proposal as soon as we can. Fourth, boundary facilities fee. On the budget proposal, to explore a boundary facilities fee on private cars leaving Hong Kong at boundary control points on land, I note the concerns and comments from LegCo members and the community at large, especially from people who need to commute between Hong Kong and the mainland frequently. We take these concerns and comments seriously. Therefore, we will weigh the matter carefully before reaching a decision. President, members, as I mentioned in the budget, faced with the complex external environment, we must respond to challenges with change, drive development with innovation, and lead the future with technology. The world is shrouded in uncertainty. No economy can expect to remain unscathed. We must refine our feet and bear in mind that with our country lending us the strongest support, and there are so many opportunities in the mainland cities, we have to get our direction right. We have to support our country's strategy, and let's make an effort to leverage our unique traits and strengths. Let's make ourselves more competitiveness. We will be able to turn crises into opportunities. We are at this historic moment, with challenges and opportunities existing side by side, we must grasp our strategic role as the three centers of one hub. We must chart a new development path that works for Hong Kong. The vision of this budget is to promote the parallel development of Hong Kong's emerging industries and traditional industries. We will enhance our core competitiveness and diversify our economy. We must race against time. We must act with urgency so that we take Hong Kong's economic development to the next level. I urge members to pass the Appropriation Bill 2025 so that the various budget measures this year can be implemented soon. I so submit. Thank you, President. I also thank members.
議題
And I put the question to you that the Appropriation Bill 2025 be read the second time. Will those in favour please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of members present. I declare the motion passed. Appropriation Bill 2025. This Council now becomes Committee of the Whole Council to consider the Appropriation Bill